The plastic fork snapped in my hand, just cracked right down the middle while I stood there staring at the kids' table, Paw Patrol tablecloth, sippy cups, coloring books scattered between plates of chicken nuggets. That's where they seated me, at my own graduation party. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what I found 3 hours later, locked in my dead father's office. Documents that proved my stepmother had been planning this humiliation for months. The same documents that showed she'd stolen my $380,000 inheritance using a trick so calculated, so perfectly executed, that even the lawyers didn't catch it at first. My name is Sophia Campbell. I'm 24. I just graduated summa cum laude from Northwestern, biomedical engineering, full scholarship, published research, $95,000 job offer waiting in Atlanta. And my stepmother decided I belonged with the 6-year-olds. Before I tell you what happened when that guest whispered to me, and trust me, you won't see this coming, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Ever been humiliated by your own family at your proudest moment? Hit subscribe, because what I'm about to show you isn't just revenge. It's a masterclass in how to dismantle someone who thinks they've already won. The woman who whispered to me, she wasn't just any guest. She was my father's attorney. And what she handed me under that kid's table, a single page from a will my stepmother thought she destroyed, was about to burn their entire world down. And I was going to enjoy every second of it. My mother died when I was 11, breast cancer. 18 months of watching her fade. Dad and I survived together, 2 broken people learning to function without the person who held us together. Then, Dad met Stephanie when I was 13. I wanted him happy, so when she smiled at me during the wedding and called me her bonus daughter, I believed her. When her son Blake and Madison made it clear I was an outsider, I tried harder. I thought effort equaled belonging. I was wrong. The pattern started small, almost invisible. Age 14, Dad set up college funds, $50,000 each, equal, fair. Stephanie suggested Blake needed more since he was older. Dad adjusted. Blake, $75,000, Madison, $50,000, me, $25,000. You're smart enough to get scholarships, Stephanie said. It sounded like a compliment. It was a dismissal. Age 16, early acceptance to Northwestern, full ride. I was flying. Stephanie, Blake's applying too, might confuse admissions with 2 Campbells, maybe defer a year. Blake didn't get in, I deferred anyway, because Dad asked me to keep peace. That year, Blake partied through freshman year at state school, then dropped out, moved home, never worked again. I started Northwestern a year late, working part-time while carrying full course load just to cover expenses my scholarship didn't touch. Age 17 to 22, Madison started an Instagram lifestyle brand. I became her unpaid manager. Photos, captions, strategy. She hit 10,000 followers, called herself self-made, never said thank you once. Age 20, my tissue regeneration research got published. First undergrad in my program to lead author a peer-reviewed journal article. Dad framed it, put it in his office. Stephanie took it down 2 weeks later. Makes Blake feel bad. Be more considerate. Age 22, research position, $15,000 stipend. Stephanie asked me to loan Blake $5,000 for his business idea, a crypto Instagram account that lasted 3 months. Never saw that money. Age 23, November. Dad had a massive heart attack. Gone before the ambulance arrived. I was mid-final year. Grief crushed me. At the funeral, Stephanie held my hand. We'll get through this together. Family is all we have. I believed her. 2 months later, the will reading. Stephanie said we'd go together. Morning of, she told me the time changed. Could I wait at home? The time hadn't changed. She just didn't want me there. When they returned, she said, "Your father left everything in a family trust. I'm the trustee. We'll take care of you." I never saw the actual will. She said the lawyer would send copies. He never did. I should have fought, but I was drowning in grief in finals and didn't have the energy. The red flags were everywhere. Family photos, dozens of Blake and Madison, 3 of me from before Stephanie. Christmas gifts, they got designer clothes and cash. I got Target cards for practical things. Stephanie's introductions. My children, Blake and Madison, and Reed's daughter, Sophia. Never ours, always my and his. I thought keeping quiet would protect my place in the only family I had left. I didn't realize I was never family. I was competition for my dead father's money, and Stephanie had been positioning to win since the day they got married. I graduated in May, summa cum laude, top 2%, published researcher, job secured. I called Stephanie from campus after the ceremony. "We're so proud. We're planning a celebration. Your dad would want that." "You don't have to." "We want to. You've earned it." For one moment, I let myself hope. That Friday night, I drove home, 6 hours from Evanston to the Chicago suburbs. When I arrived, the house was chaos. Caterers, rental trucks, a massive white tent going up in the backyard. "This is a lot for casual," I said. "You deserve something special," Stephanie smiled. Perfect, warm, believable. On Saturday's morning, I helped set up, moved chairs, arranged centerpieces. Stephanie kept redirecting me. "Could you organize the kids' activities? We have a bounce house for the younger cousins. I can help with adult tables. Kids need supervision. You're good with children." I wasn't, but I did it. 1 hour before guests arrived, I saw the seating chart. Table 1, Stephanie, Blake, Madison, Stephanie's parents and sister. Table 2, Dad's siblings, my actual blood relatives. Table 3, Dad's business partners. Table 4, Blake and Madison's friends. Table 5, extended family. Table 6, kids table, ages 6 to 11. Paw Patrol tablecloth, juice boxes, crayons. My name was on a place card at table 6. "Stephanie, there's a mistake." "No mistake. Adult tables are full. You're closer in age to some of those kids than Blake's friends anyway." "I'm 24. They're 21. Sophia, please, don't make this difficult. We worked hard. Just be grateful." She walked away. When the guests arrived, Dad's siblings found me in the kitchen. "Sophia, congratulations!" Aunt Linda hugged me tight. "Where are you sitting?" "The kids' table." Silence. Uncle Tom frowned. "What?" Stephanie appeared like smoke. "Sophia, help with the kids. They need supervision during dinner." "I thought I was a guest." "You are, but family helps." She turned to my aunts with a smile. "Sophia's always been wonderful with children." She guided me toward the backyard before they could protest. 3 p.m. Stephanie stood center stage with a microphone. "Thank you all for celebrating a very special achievement. My stepdaughter, Sophia, has graduated from Northwestern." Applause. I smiled from the kids' table, wedged between an 8-year-old and a coloring book. "Sophia worked very hard. Reed would be so proud." Her voice caught. Tears. Real or performed? I couldn't tell anymore. Losing Reed was devastating, but we've pulled together as a family. Blake and Madison have been so supportive of their sister. They hadn't spoken to me in months. And I think Reed would be proud of how we've taken care of each other. She never mentioned my scholarship, my research, my job offer. Just graduated and worked hard, like I'd done the bare minimum instead of something exceptional. But what I overheard 30 minutes later, Stephanie's voice drifting through an open window, discussing my father's estate with someone I didn't recognize, that's when I realized the graduation party humiliation wasn't an oversight, it was a message. I went inside to use the bathroom, heard voices in Dad's old office. Stephanie's voice, and a man I didn't recognize. I stopped in the hallway. The door was cracked. "It's generous of you to handle this for the family," the man was saying. "It's what Reed wanted, making sure Blake and Madison are taken care of. And the other daughter," my chest tightened. "Sophia's set, scholarship, job. She doesn't need the trust fund like my children do. Blake's still finding himself. Madison's building her brand. They need financial support. What about the house? Reed left it to me as surviving spouse. Sophia has no claim. And she'll be in Atlanta anyway. No point splitting assets." I pressed against the wall, barely breathing. The lawyer mentioned Reed had specific provisions for Sophia in the original will. The will was updated shortly before his death. I'm the executor. Everything's handled properly. The conversation shifted. I went back outside, hands shaking. Dessert, 3-tier cake, "Congratulations, Sophia," in blue icing. "Come on, graduate, photo time." Stephanie positioned me next to the cake. Flash, flash, flash. Then Blake and Madison joined, Stephanie's parents, a group photo with me on the far edge. 2 hours later, Facebook post. Caption: "So blessed to celebrate family achievements. Grateful for these amazing kids. Reed would be proud. Hashtag proud stepmom. Hashtag family." The photo, Blake, Madison, and Stephanie, cropped so tight I was completely cut out. That's when I saw her, standing near the catering tent, watching everything with an expression I couldn't quite read. Late 50s, professional, holding a leather folder. She caught my eye and mouthed 2 words. "We need to talk." I had no idea who she was, but the way Stephanie's face went white when she spotted her, that told me everything. That evening, after guests left, I found Stephanie in the kitchen. "Can we talk?" She looked up. "Of course, honey." Today felt like I was just extra, not the person being celebrated. Her face softened. Perfect performance. "Oh, Sophia, I'm sorry. I've been so stressed since Reed died, managing everything. I wasn't thinking." I sat, desperate to believe her. "You're right. I should have been more thoughtful." She squeezed my hand. "And about the trust discussion you might have overheard?" My blood froze. She knew. "That's just legal complexity. Your dad's will has lots of provisions. Takes time to sort, but you'll get what you're entitled to. I promise." "Okay. Good. Why don't you stay tonight? We'll have breakfast, just us. Talk about your new job." I agreed. Went to my old room. Convinced myself things would improve. On Sunday morning, I woke at 8 a.m. House was empty, except Madison, scrolling her phone. "Where's Stephanie?" "She and Blake went apartment hunting. He's moving out next month." "Apartments? He doesn't have a job." "Mom's covering rent until he gets on his feet." "With what money?" "Mom said not to discuss finances, but Blake's getting like $200,000 for his future stability." The room spun. "How much am I getting?" "I don't know. Ask Mom, but she said you're already set with your job, so..." Madison trailed off, finally reading my expression. I understood then, clear as glass. Dad's $800,000 estate was being divided, house to Stephanie, the rest split between Blake and Madison. My provisions? Nothing. Or close enough to nothing it didn't matter. I was packing my car when the woman from the party approached. Professional, composed, leather briefcase. "Sophia Campbell?" "Yes?" "Patricia Wolfe. I was your father's estate planning attorney." She glanced at the house. "Is Stephanie home?" "No." "Good." She handed me a business card. "Your father came to see me 6 months before he died. Updated his will, specific provisions for you. Then he died suddenly and Stephanie submitted a different will, one I didn't draft. The words felt like they were coming through water." "What?" "I kept copies of the real will, everything your father actually wanted. But Stephanie doesn't know that." Patricia's eyes were hard. "Meet me tomorrow, my office, 9 a.m. Don't tell anyone. And Sophia?" "Yeah?" "Bring anger. You're going to need it." She walked away. I stood in the driveway, card in my hand, and felt something shift inside me. From grief to fury. From victim to hunter. Monday, 9 a.m., Patricia's office. 20th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, Lake Michigan stretched cold and gray. Patricia didn't waste time. She spread 2 sets of documents across her desk. "This is the will your father signed 6 months before his death, March 15th, witnessed by me and 2 paralegals." I read it slowly. Every word was a revelation. Reed Campbell's last will and testament, revised. Primary residence, 60% Stephanie, 40% Sophia. Life insurance, $500,000, 100% to Sophia. Investment portfolio, $300,000, split equally among 3 children. Personal effects, Sophia receives Mother Jessica's jewelry, photo albums, and letters. College fund remainders distributed to respective children at age 25. My hands shook. Dad had known, had seen the favoritism, had tried to fix it. This is what Stephanie submitted for probate. Second document, dated 2 weeks before Dad died. Everything to Stephanie. Vague trust provisions for all children, amounts determined by trustee. No specific numbers, no house ownership for me, nothing about Mom's jewelry. How is this possible? Patricia's jaw was tight. 2 weeks before your father died, Stephanie told me he'd changed his mind, went to a different lawyer. I told her I needed to see the new will to close my file. She never sent it. So where did the probate will come from? Different lawyer, different witnesses. I can't prove it's fraudulent without more evidence. But the timing? Patricia met my eyes. Highly suspicious. What can I do? File a will contest. Challenge probate, but it's expensive. Could take years, and you'd be fighting Stephanie directly. Chances? With just these documents, maybe 40%. We need more. Proof the probate will was coerced, forged, or signed when your father wasn't competent. I thought about the last few months, the calculated cruelty, the perfect performance. She's been lying about everything, I said slowly. What if there are other lies, other documents? Patricia leaned forward. What are you thinking? I lived in that house for 11 years. I know where Dad kept important papers, and Stephanie doesn't know I know. You're suggesting? I'm suggesting I go back, look around. I still have a key. My belongings are there, perfectly legal reason to visit. I can't advise you to do anything illegal. I won't break in. I'll pick up my stuff. If I happen to see documents that belong to my father's estate, I let the sentence hang. Patricia was quiet. Then, be very careful. If she catches you, won't. I sat in my car outside Patricia's office, hands on the steering wheel, mind finally brutally clear. For 11 years, I'd played the grateful orphan, the good stepdaughter, the one who didn't make waves. And where had that gotten me? The kids' table, cropped out of photos, written out of my father's legacy? I thought about Stephanie's smile when she told me the adult tables were full, the way she'd watched me sit with children while eating salmon with her friends. She enjoyed it. I pulled out my phone, texted Stephanie, coming Thursday to pick up my things, around 2 p.m. Her response came fast. Perfect, I'll be home. We should talk more anyway. That emoji, that fucking emoji. Stephanie once told me right after marrying Dad that smart women document everything. She was talking about keeping receipts for taxes. I didn't realize she was documenting everything about my father, every account, every asset, every weakness. But here's what she didn't know. I'm smarter than she ever gave me credit for, and I'd been documenting too. Every dismissal, every slight, every dollar she took from my college fund. I just hadn't known what I was building evidence for. Until now.
Thursday, 2 p.m. I drove to the house. The sight of those white columns made my stomach turn, but my hands were steady. Stephanie answered. Cup of tea. Warm smile. Sophia, come in. We sat in the kitchen. Small talk. She asked about Atlanta, apartment hunting. Played the concerned stepmother flawlessly. I'll grab my stuff, I said after 20 minutes. Take your time. I went upstairs, to my room, but I didn't stop there. Dad's office was down the hall. Door closed. I tried the handle. Locked. I'd anticipated this. Pulled a bobby pin from my hair. The lock was simple. 2 minutes. Inside, the office looked different. Stephanie had redecorated. New desk, new filing cabinets. Erasing Dad, replacing him. I had maybe 30 minutes. Started with the desk. Locked drawers. Bobby pin again. Inside, financial statements, bank records, investment portfolios, and a folder labeled estate planning. I photographed everything with my phone, fast, systematic, page after page. Then I saw it. Back of the drawer, another folder, legal, confidential. My hands shook as I opened it. Correspondence with a lawyer named Thomas Bryant. Email dated 3 weeks before Dad died. Stephanie, as discussed, I've prepared the revised will per your specifications. David's signature will be obtained this weekend during your getaway. Make sure he's relaxed. The medication should help with any resistance. Once signed, destroy all copies of the March will. TB. They drugged him. Another email, 2 days before Dad died. Will is executed and witnessed. David seemed confused about some provisions but signed anyway. Advised him it was just updating beneficiaries for tax purposes. He trusted you. Everything proceeds as planned. TB. I photographed it all. Bank statements showing transfers to Stephanie's accounts before Dad died. Credit card bills for purchases Dad never made. Then I heard it. Footsteps. On the stairs. Sophia, everything okay up there? I shoved my phone in my pocket, closed folders, re-locked drawers, heart hammering. Yeah, just looking for my old yearbooks. I think those are in the basement. I'll check. I re-locked the office door, grabbed random items from my room, books, clothes, old photos, went downstairs. Stephanie was in the kitchen, smiling. Find what you needed? Most of it, thanks. I left, drove 3 blocks, pulled over, and threw up in a parking lot. That night, I sent everything to Patricia, 47 photos. She called at 10 p.m., voice tight. Sophia, this is elder abuse, fraud, possibly forgery. This is criminal. Can we use it? Yes, but we have to be strategic. File the will contest, but also file a criminal complaint, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. The DA will investigate. How long? Months, maybe longer, but with this evidence, we'll win. Patricia paused. There's someone else you need to meet, Dr. Helen Morrison, forensic document examiner. She can analyze the signatures on both wills. We met Dr. Morrison the next week. She examined the documents, looked up. The signature on the March will is consistent with other samples, smooth, confident, natural pressure. The signature on the probate will shows hesitation marks, tremor, possibly medication influence or distress. Meaning? Meaning, I testified this signature is questionable, that your father may have been coerced or incapacitated when signing. Patricia looked at me. Are you ready? It's going to get ugly. Stephanie will fight. She'll make accusations, turn family against you. I thought about the kids' table, the cropped photo, 11 years of being invisible. I'm ready. We filed the will contest on Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, Stephanie knew. 17 missed calls. Then she showed up at my apartment, pounded on the door. Sophia, open up! I opened it. She pushed inside. How dare you? I am the widow. This is outrageous. You coerced him. I have proof. Her face went white, then red. I did nothing wrong. I have a legal will. Signed at 2:47 a.m. when he was on Ambien? I have the email, Stephanie, from Thomas Bryant, discussing the medication plan. Her all-color drained from her face. You broke into my house? I picked up my belongings from the house Dad left me 40% of. You little bitch. After everything you took from me, after you made me sit at the kids' table at my own graduation party, you're calling me a bitch? She stepped closer, voice venomous. You'll lose. I have resources, lawyers, you're broke. I have evidence. Illegally obtained, it'll be thrown out. We'll see. She smiled cold, cruel. You're going to regret this. I promise. She left. 2 days later, Patricia called. Stephanie filed a restraining order. Claims you're harassing her, threatening her, trespassing. That's insane. She has witnesses. Blake and Madison signed affidavits saying you've been acting erratically, showing up at odd hours, making threats. My world tilted. She's lying. I know, but there's more. She submitted text messages. Threats allegedly from your number? I never. I know, we'll prove it. But Sophia, if the judge grants this order, you can't go near the house, can't attend hearings. This could destroy our case. I sat down hard. This was it. The move I hadn't anticipated. Stephanie wasn't just fighting. She was trying to remove me from the board entirely. What do? We expose it at the hearing. Thursday, bring everything. I thought we had the perfect plan. Documents, evidence, expert witnesses. What I didn't know was that Stephanie had been watching me, tracking my phone, monitoring my visits to Patricia's office, and she just deployed a strategy that could end everything before it started. Unless I could prove, in front of a judge, in 4 days, that she had fabricated evidence to frame me. And I had exactly 1 shot to get it right.
Thursday, the restraining order hearing. I walked into the courtroom with Patricia. Stephanie sat across the aisle with her lawyer, Mr. Reynolds. Expensive suit, shark eyes. Blake and Madison sat behind her. Neither would look at me. The judge reviewed the filings. Ms. Campbell, you're requesting a restraining order against your stepdaughter. Reynolds stood. Your Honor, my client is protecting herself from an unstable young woman who has made false accusations of estate fraud. Ms. Sophia Campbell has a history of boundary violations, entering my client's home without permission, accessing locked private areas, making unfounded claims. I entered to pick up my belongings, I started. Let him finish, the judge said. She's also sent threatening text messages. Reynolds pulled out his phone, connected to the courtroom screen. Messages from my number appeared. You stole from me. You'll pay for this. I know what you did. You can't hide forever. You're going to regret lying about my father. I stared at them. I never sent those. They're from your number. Someone faked them, spoofed my number. Your Honor, Reynolds said smoothly, this is exactly the kind of paranoid delusion we're concerned about. Ms. Campbell is spiraling, making wild accusations. My client simply wants protection. I felt the case slipping away. The room believed him. Then Patricia stood. Your Honor, may I present evidence? She connected her laptop to the screen. These are actual text message logs from Ms. Campbell's phone carrier, subpoenaed this morning. They show the messages Mr. Reynolds just displayed were never sent from Ms. Campbell's device. She clicked. Data appeared. These messages were sent from a text spoofing application. We traced the IP address. Click. An IP address filled the screen. This address belongs to Blake Campbell, Miss Stephanie Campbell's son, who apparently created fake text messages to support this fraudulent restraining order. The courtroom went silent. Blake's face drained of color. Furthermore, Patricia continued, her voice cutting like a scalpel, we have evidence Ms. Stephanie Campbell has been systematically defrauding her late husband's estate. She displayed the emails I'd photographed. Thomas Bryant, discussing medication, coercion plans. The judge read them. His expression darkened. Mr. Reynolds, does your client have an explanation? Stephanie's lawyer looked at her. She was pale, shaking. Those are out of context. They specifically mention medication and coercion to obtain a signature, the judge said. This is extremely concerning. I want to see original documents, not photographs. We have a forensic document examiner who will testify the probate will's signature shows signs of coercion or incapacity, Patricia said. Stephanie stood. Your Honor, may I speak? You may. My stepdaughter is angry. I understand that. Her father's death was hard on all of us, but she's turning grief into conspiracy theories. Tears welled. Perfect tears. I loved Reed. I would never hurt him. She dabbed her eyes. Yes, I updated his will before he died because he wanted me to. He told me Sophia was set, scholarship, job. He wanted to protect Blake and Madison, who needed more support. Several people in the gallery nodded. She was convincing. I've tried to include Sophia in our family, but she's angry she wasn't given more. So she's fabricated this elaborate lie, breaking into my home, creating false narratives. More nods. She was winning them back. Your Honor, Patricia said quietly, we have one more piece of evidence. She clicked her laptop. Video appeared on screen. Security camera footage. Dad's home office. Date: 3 weeks before his death. Time: 2:47 a.m. The room went dead silent. On screen, Stephanie helping Dad into his desk chair. He looked exhausted, unfocused, eyes half closed. She placed documents in front of him, guided his hand, literally moved his hand to the signature line.
Dad signed, slowly, shakily, like someone barely conscious. Stephanie quickly gathered the papers and left the room. The timestamp glowed, 2:47 a.m. The courtroom erupted. "Where did you—" Reynolds started. "Your father's home security system," Patricia said, voice steady. "Installed 6 months before his death. He gave me access during our estate planning sessions. Cloud storage. Ms. Campbell didn't know it existed." The judge's face was stone. "Ms. Campbell, your husband appears barely conscious at 2:47 in the morning. Do you have an explanation?" "He had insomnia." "Your Honor," Patricia interjected, "we also have medical records. Reed Campbell was prescribed Ambien, prescription filled by Stephanie Campbell. The footage shows classic signs of someone under sleep medication influence being coerced to sign legal documents." Stephanie's face crumbled. "I am denying the restraining order, and I'm referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for investigation of possible elder abuse, fraud, and forgery." "Your Honor," Reynolds tried. "Furthermore, I'm issuing a temporary freeze on all estate assets. Ms. Stephanie Campbell, you are not to dispose of, sell, or transfer any assets pending resolution. Your Honor, my client has expenses." "Your client should have considered that before allegedly drugging her husband and forcing him to sign documents in the middle of the night."
Blake stood up. "Mom didn't—" "Sit down, young man, or I'll hold you in contempt." The judge turned to Patricia. "File your amended will contest with all evidence. Full hearing in 30 days. We left the courtroom. Stephanie tried to approach in the hallway. "Sophia, please, we can work this out." "We're not family," I said. "We never were." Her lawyer pulled her away, whispering urgently. Blake and Madison stood together, lost, broken. Madison caught my eye, mouthed, "I'm sorry." Too late. Within 1 week, District Attorney opened criminal investigation. Thomas Bryant, the corrupt lawyer, lawyered up. Within 2 weeks, local news picked it up. Widow accused of forging dying husband's will. Shocking video evidence. Within 3 weeks, Stephanie's friends stopped calling. Country club membership quietly suspended. Blake's apartment lease fell through when the landlord saw the news. Within 4 weeks, Patricia called with the final offer. Stephanie's agreed to a settlement. She'll plead to financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. 2 years probation, restitution, surrender all claims to the March will. Blake and Madison are cut out entirely. They participated in the fraud. And I get everything your father wanted you to have. House, percentage, life insurance, investments, your mother's jewelry. Total, after expenses, about $380,000. I sat down, started crying. Not because of the money. Because Dad had seen me, had valued me, had fought for me even when I thought he'd forgotten me. I thought winning would feel clean, simple. Good triumphs, evil punished, fade to black. But 2 weeks after the settlement, Madison showed up at my apartment, and what she said made me realize I'd won the battle, but lost something I didn't even know I'd been fighting for, something that no amount of money could ever give back. 6 months later, Stephanie pled guilty. 2 years probation, $85,000 restitution, 200 hours community service. No prison, but the conviction destroyed everything else. Her social circle evaporated. The society crowd she'd worked decades to impress wanted nothing to do with a convicted criminal. The house, Dad's house, had to be sold for legal fees and restitution. She moved into a small rental 40 minutes away, far enough that she'd never run into anyone she knew. Blake moved in with her, still unemployed. The case made him unhireable. Google his name, first result, son helps mother defraud estate, creates fake evidence. Madison dropped out of college. Her influencer career died, went from 10,000 followers to 600. The comments were savage. "Your mom's a criminal and you helped. How does it feel to steal from your dead stepdad?" Thomas Bryant was disbarred, under investigation for other cases. I got the settlement, paid off student loans, down payment on a condo in Atlanta, started my job at Atlanta Scientific, built a life that was finally completely mine. But the hardest part wasn't Stephanie's downfall. It was Madison. She showed up at my apartment 2 months after the settlement. Thin, exhausted, the Instagram polish completely gone. "I'm sorry," she said, "for everything." "Okay." I was 19, Stupid. I didn't understand what Mom was really doing. I wanted her approval. Same as you wanted Dad's. The comparison stung because it was true. I can't undo it, I said. I know. I'm not asking you to. She wiped her eyes. I just wanted you to know I see it now. What she did. What we helped her do. Her voice cracked. I miss him. Your dad. Our stepdad. Whatever. I miss having a father who gave a shit about me. He wasn't your father. I know, but he treated me like I could have been. That's more than my real dad ever did. She looked at me directly. He talked about you, when Mom wasn't around. He'd show me your research papers, tell me how proud he was, how you got your intelligence from your mom, your determination from him. My throat closed. He loved you, Sophia. And Mom hated that. That's why she did all of it. The college fund, the graduation party, the will. She couldn't stand that he loved you more. Madison left. I watched her walk away, this girl I'd spent years resenting, who'd participated in my erasure, who'd also just been a kid desperate for parental love. She was 19, manipulated by her mother her entire life. She'd still helped destroy me. I didn't call her back. Atlanta, my condo, 9th floor, with a view of the Charles River. My job was everything I'd worked for, designing medical devices that would actually help people, using my research to solve real problems. I made friends, real ones, coworkers who invited me to dinners and didn't expect me to earn my seat, who celebrated my wins without resentment. Started therapy, twice a month at first, then weekly. Do you regret it? My therapist asked once. Fighting for the will? All of it. The destruction. I thought about that. No, but I wish it hadn't been necessary. Got a dog. Rescue named Pepper. She follows me everywhere, loves unconditionally, never makes me prove I deserve it. Started dating. Nothing serious yet, but I'm learning what it feels like to be chosen instead of tolerated. Patricia and I talk every few weeks. Not about legal stuff, just life. She became something like a mentor, someone who sees my worth without me having to perform for it. Your father would be proud, she told me last week. I hope so. I know so. I saw how he talked about you. That's why he came to me to fix the will. He knew Stephanie was poisoning his other relationships. But with you, he wanted to make it right. The grocery store, 14 months later. Whole Foods, Saturday morning. I was visiting Aunt Linda in Chicago. Turned the corner in produce. Stephanie. We both froze. She looked older, grayer, thinner. Her cart was full of generic brands. The transformation from country club queen to anonymous criminal was complete. Sophia. Stephanie. Silence. Heavy. Loaded with everything unsaid. How are you? She finally asked. Good. You? Managing. She glanced at my cart. Organic produce, fresh fish, nice cheese. You look well. Thanks. More silence. Then quietly, I'm sorry for what I did. All of it. I was scared of losing everything, and She stopped. I lost everything anyway. I studied her, looking for the manipulation, the performance. Didn't see it. Just exhaustion and defeat. Okay? That's it? Okay? What do you want me to say? I don't know. Maybe that you forgive me. I don't. She nodded. Fair. But I don't hate you either. I'm just done. I understand. I started to walk away. Sophia? I turned. Your father did love you, more than you knew. I was jealous of that. That's why I did it. All of it. Because no matter how hard I tried, no matter what I did, you were always his real child. And Blake and Madison were just replacements. I didn't respond, just walked away. Some nights, I still wonder if I should have let it go. Taken whatever small amount Stephanie offered,
avoided the legal battle, the public humiliation, the family implosion. Would have been easier, quieter. But then I remember, letting it go would have meant accepting that my father's wishes didn't matter, that I didn't matter, that the kids' table was where I belonged. I traded justice for loneliness, vindication for family. Some days that feels right, other days it feels like I made a different kind of mistake. But today I have a life that's completely mine, a job I earned, a home I chose, people who value me without conditions. I don't owe anyone anything. That has to count for something.
Here's what I need to know from you now that you know the whole story. If you were at that graduation party, if you saw me, the graduate, sitting at the kids' table with Paw Patrol tablecloths and juice boxes, what would you have done? Would you have stayed quiet? Assumed there was some reasonable explanation? Would you have pulled me aside privately, said something supportive, but avoided confrontation? Or would you have called it out right there, made a scene? 30 people saw that seating chart. 30 people watched me sit with elementary schoolers at my own celebration, and exactly 0 said anything. Tell me in the comments, which person are you? The silent witness, the private supporter, or the public defender? No judgment. I genuinely want to know, because maybe understanding that helps me understand why no one spoke up. Let's talk strategy. Where's the line between getting justice and getting revenge? Did I cross it? Should I have just accepted the initial trust fund offer and walked away? Or should I have gone even further, pushing for maximum prison time instead of probation? Madison and Blake lost everything: their inheritance, their standing, their future stability. They participated in the fraud, but they were also manipulated by their mother. Did they deserve that? Or were they just collateral damage and a war between me and Stephanie? At what point does holding people accountable become punishing them for being young and stupid? Last question for anyone who's ever been the forgotten one. When did you realize you weren't really part of the family? For me, it was sitting at the kids' table. That was when I finally saw it clearly. I was never going to be enough. No achievement would ever earn me a real seat. When was your moment? Share your story, because I think there are more of us than anyone wants to admit. If this resonated, if you've ever been made to feel invisible by people who should have celebrated you, hit like. Subscribe for more real stories about family betrayal and standing up for yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their worth isn't determined by family who can't see it. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is refuse to disappear, even when they put you at the kids' table, even when fighting back costs you the only family you have left. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I know I'm not invisible anymore. And some days, that's enough. Thanks for listening.